need to take our smiles and we need to turn them upside down into a frown, because this video, well, this is a little bit more of a negative one. This time you're gonna see my dark side. We need to clear up some room. I've got plants in here that I don't love. We need to open up some space. We're gonna go through, we're gonna throw some plants in this bin back here in preparation for, I'll be honest with you, the compost pile. We're gonna talk about all the plants I don't love. We're gonna talk about just being honest with yourself. We're gonna talk about, you know, what plants are just taking up space? What plants do I honestly not really care for at this point? We love watching them grow. We love watching them interact with us. I even got to love watching this little waffle plant here bloom. It had little white flowers speckled all over it this summer. But at some point, we just have to be honest with ourselves. We have to say, you know what? This plant's just not happy here. To be completely honest, I just don't like the way this plant looks. How can I transition into just starting what this video is all about? Let me start by just grabbing the one. Let me start by grabbing the plant that I hate the most. It's this one right here. I think it was sold to me as it's a cypress topiary or something like that. And you know what? The picture attracted me, I'll be honest with you. It looked pretty cool. I actually met a topiary artist at a place called Pearl Friar's Topiary Garden, one of my really old videos. And you know, that was kind of inspiring. I really liked that sort of thing. I thought maybe I'll try my hand at topiary. And it just didn't work out well. This thing, you know, I'll be honest, I never really tried to trim it up or really try in any respect, but I've just never really kind of been in love with the foliage. It kind of gave me this like brown, withered look as soon as I brought it in. And you know what? I'm gonna be honest. Like I said, this is a negative video. I just really don't like this plant. So let's get this thing rolling. Even poke my little fingers on the way out. One last little jab. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say the bad things about you. It just wasn't working out. Now immediately I'm going to admit that I feel kind of bad doing that. I feel kind of bad throwing that plant in that bucket back there. I'm going to feel even worse when I throw it into the compost pile and I chop it all up and everything like that. But again, this video is about being honest with ourselves. This video is about sometimes taking stock and realizing, you know what? We need to clear some of this room. We need to open some of this space. We need to get rid of some of the junk in order to make room for the new, junk. One thing that you might not know about me, one thing that's sort of hidden about my personal life, you know, as I'm kind of trampsing around in my little grow room here that's just full of stuff all over the place, is that I'm actually a minimalist at heart. I actually prefer, they call me, I kind of joke around with my family and call myself the trash man, because I actually love throwing stuff away. I love going through old closets. I love getting rid of all the old crap that we don't need, all the old papers that we don't need, all the old little bits and bobs that came along with this or that, or I have kids, so little things that came along with toys or old toys that are broken and don't work. I could go on the list forever and ever. At least once a month or so, it's a pleasurable experience to just run around your house, collecting all the old crap, throwing it out. And many people think, you know what, that's crazy. You're wasting stuff. And you know what, I might be wasting, but I don't say it's crazy. And here's why. Let me just explain my position here. I don't say it's crazy because when you actually go through and you start to sort things out, when you actually start to live with a lot less things in your life, when you become sort of, you know, just a true minimalist at heart, you start to take stock in all the space that you clear up all the time. So, you know, rather than constantly going back to a full closet, emptying it out, throwing away all the little bits and bobs that you've collected in there, you'll learn from those experiences, and in general, you just will consume less things because you won't want all those little bits and bobs in the closet to clean out. You'll want to keep that closet looking nice and neat and tidy and just perfect, and everything having its little place. And in a weird sort of way, that's what you're watching with this channel here, is you're watching this explosion that happened in this little plant room here. And then over time, I'm slowly kind of withering things away. I'm slowly, you know, manipulating everything into place. And the idea is I'm creating just nifty little spaces, kind of like that, or that, or even that down there. My newest, proudest project. And as we learn and as we grow and as we kind of develop our tastes and we decide what we like and we decide what direction we're going, you know, once in a while it's okay to admit to yourself that it's time to get in there. It's time to just take some things, not worry about recycling them, not worrying about doing the best thing we possibly can for the plant and all of that. Sometimes it's okay to just go through, clear out the plants you don't like, throw them in a bin just like that right back there. And you know, we'll pat ourselves on the back and we'll feel like we've done a good deed at the end of this video when we throw these things in the compost pile, we mash them all up, we send them back to the earth where they all started, so we can start the cycle of life all over again. But in reality, you know what? I said this video is negative and I said this video is dark. It's really just about clearing space, getting rid of all the stuff that we don't like, getting rid of all the plants that just don't speak to me and that, to be honest, I think are ugly. Definitely not my white wizard philodendron. I do see right in that back corner. And my friends, this is going to lead me to another discussion about plants. And when it's time to just sort of say goodbye to this mature peperomia. You might remember this mature peperomia from an earlier video where I got in here, I repotted this thing, I took out all the little baby plants, and got some little babies back here and up here. Nonetheless, the mother's been doing, you know, quite terrible ever since. She never really took root in there. There is a little bit of new growth going on the top, but to be honest with you, sometimes when a plant gets a little too old, when it kind of stretches out a little too much, when the leaves near the base start to get a little too crusty and it's kind of lanky, it's drawn out, and it's lived a good life. It's produced some pups. We've got new babies out in the world. Sometimes it's just time to say, you know what? Next one on the chopping block, I'm looking at you right down there. This one right here. Well, it decided to just up and die on me right after summer. I don't know. I could probably water this thing and maybe we could spark some life out of it. But sometimes, you know what? You just got to know when to give up. I kind of thought it would just... that little seemed to make it work. So over here we have 3 unlucky planty souls that made it just in time for Halloween to be destroyed and put back to the earth and to turn into zombie plants or, you know, new living things or whatever happens to these things. To be honest, I'm not quite sure what happens, and I'm kind of enjoying the mystery. I just am not really enjoying this plant. I'm not really liking the color of it. It's kind of a little, just everything about it. I'm not even really crazy about the box, to be honest with you. Now this one actually makes my heart a little bit sad because this was a really cool looking plant. It was a beautiful little plant and it was living just fine. It was living just fine on the shelf for the longest time. And I knew it was a little bit delicate. I knew it was delicate because I had moved it one time and it had dropped some leaves or something like that. But everything was going pretty good. And then I moved it to a different shelf and it decided to just shrivel up and die on me. So I wish this plant was still alive, but it's going to go back to the earth where it belongs. Did I say 3? I guess I got to pick 3 on this list. I almost want to pick 2 because I almost want to take this ripple jade and throw it away, but I don't hate it that much. It's kind of cool. I like the jade plant family. I've got an entire little jade forest growing right over here. I've got another jade plant sticking right over there. So we're going to leave that plant alone, but we are going to grab a third unfortunate planty soul. And that is going to be, it's going to be this lipstick plant. The reason I don't like this plant is because, yep, I can see it already. Number 1, it's got little cobwebs all over it. I don't know if you can see that. I'm not even sure what it's called. Probably little spider mites or something like that. So I've had this plant kind of separated for a while. I bought this plant on clearance at a greenhouse that I don't even remember the name. It was looking really rough when I got it. It's looking, I see a little bit of growth in the middle there. So it's maybe looking a little bit better than when I got it, but it's still looking rough. The leaves are looking terrible, especially from the underneath. It's got little cobwebs and stuff all over it. It's just not, it's not good for the plant room. And did I start this video saying that we're going to be a little bit more negative and you're going to see my dark side? Well, you're going to see my dark side. I hate you. I hate you, lipstick plant. I hate you. And that's why I'm throwing you away. I'm sorry. It actually, it hurts me to say that a little bit, but you know what? It's true. But I do love the blue tones and stuff in this pot. And if I'm being honest, it wasn't really the pot that I hated so much. It was just the fact that I want to use this thing for something else and I'm not sure what. So now we get another pot to inspire us into the future. This Hoya hasn't been doing too good for me, but it's hanging in there. So we're gonna let it go. This is all kind of new. This is kind of another slow grower, but it's doing okay. We almost lost this taco plant right here, but it seems to be perked back up. Same with this one. Everything on this back shelf looks pretty good. Got a little ZZ plant down in the corner, if you haven't seen that in a while. I guess this is kind of turning into a bit of an impromptu plant tour as we kind of look around and decide if we're going to throw any plants away. Got our little kokedama in there that's doing awesome, so we'll keep that. Look at this, the way that this, I don't even remember the name of this one, I'm not even going to look it up. Vine is just shooting off like that. Isn't that cool? I think it's called a creeping philodendron. This one right here is, I kind of don't like it. I kind of don't like the pot. The plant is so weird. It keeps on, like, look at this. It keeps on growing these like weird stretchy things out. I think it's growing these long stringy strands in a desperate plea for my attention to say, please put me in a different space in the plant room. And you know what? We're going to grant it that wish. And instead of meeting the compost pile today, well, maybe we'll put you right up here. Maybe those long stringy strands mean that you want a little bit more sunlight in your life. Of course, I can't get rid of my staghorn. In fact, I'm going to share a big plan that I've got for this staghorn at the end of this video with you. This little deja vu philodendron down here is one of my favorite plants. It's been one of my most interactive plants. This Monstera deliciosa back here. I mean, if you love plants, you have to have a Monstera deliciosa. This leaf right here is the leaf that I see most used on logos. So how can you not have the plant that's most used on all plant logos? We're not touching this side. This side is good. The only plant that I would possibly consider is this little guy right here. But I've cleaned it up. It started sprouting some new little sprouts for me. I think I've finally found the perfect little spot right under the old fern tree. There was a couple other plants in here taking up space that I moved into the other room in the house here. Like that one. Got a little corner right out there. And with all of that new free space, with all of that old, with all of that shifting around, with all of that arranging, all right, now we can start rolling the music again. I'm not going to say much about what I'm doing. You're just going to have to wait and see. But what I'm about to show you will give you, maybe it'll start kind of stirring your brain the same way it was stirring my brain.
Okay, this thing's a little heavier than I remember when I bought it, but it's worth it because it's been sitting in my garage for so long waiting for me to finally use a project on it. I'm not making these weird noises to show off. I'm actually literally trying. I don't want to drop this thing because I've been holding on to it for so long. So let's hopefully get this baby in place. All right, put down in the fern tree. Okay, is it gonna fit? Oh, please fit right back here.
I'll give you one more thing. I'll give you one more little piece of the plan for that back there, and then I'm not going to say anything else. You know, no big deal. It's just something I picked up on one of my walks in the morning. So this is the second piece. This is the second piece to the riddle of what will our future project be. But I hope that if you thought I was being a little bit too harsh on those plants by throwing some stuff away, by just discarding some plants that you know, to be honest with you, I made a commitment to care for when I got them. If you thought I was being a little bit too harsh, it was all with good intention. And the reason for that is because, again, out with the old, in with the new. We're creating space for a brand new project, a project that's so new Did I mention how much this little deja vu philodendron just loves living under this Monstera deliciosa? And put this thing into place. The reason that I'm doing that is so we can marinate on this for a little while and kind of get a feel for how it feels in place there. We'll let this little scene sort of stir up all sorts of new creative ideas.